PlayStation 2 was a huge moment for gaming and 3D design, with it being the best-selling console of all time, with over 4,000 games released. Moving from the original PlayStation to the PlayStation 2 brought a massive leap in technology. More polygons, bigger storage, partly powered by their heavily marketed Emotion Engine chip. At the time, these 3D graphics felt almost hyper-real. However, looking back over 20 years later, they feel clunky compared to today's ultra-realistic games. But that distorted low-poly look isn't just outdated technology, it's become a source of inspiration. Over the last few years, a new generation of 3D designers has been revisiting this style. This video essay explores what makes these graphics so special, focusing on how they appear in urban environments. I've been fascinated by PS2 graphics ever since I first played these games over a decade ago. Returning to them now, I've noticed this graphic style across a range of titles, like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and BMX XXX. Part of what makes these games feel so immersive is that you explore them offline. Online gaming wasn't as integrated as it is today, so playing them now feels like stepping into a time capsule, as each game creates a mix of emotions through their distinct stretched textures, low resolution visuals and smaller map sizes. Despite those limitations, the environments still feel open and complex, filled with hidden paths and different cultural references. Navigation is key. Developers carefully design the routes you take and built in shortcuts, with far less intuitive tools and fewer learning resources than what exists today. SSX Tricky, released in 2001 as part of the SSX snowboarding series, was ahead of its time. Each map has its own identity, with distinct colour schemes and architectural styles. Some 3D models are reused, but they're placed in new ways alongside new elements. It's definitely my favourite PS2 game, because it's so enjoyable, but also because of how it constructs its urban environments. Its use of HDRIs, background images that extend the world beyond the playable space, make the maps feel so much larger than they actually are. Tokyo Megaplex stands out for its saturated colours and multiple pathways. It uses minimal architecture, replacing it with abstract obstacles and rails, yet it still reads as an urban space because of the surrounding city skyline. Mercury City feels completely different, darker, more enclosed and tunnel heavy, with a grungy atmosphere that mirrors early PS2 advertising. Some routes even take you above the city, jumping across rooftops and blending fantasy with realism in a way that feels very specific to this era of games. My dad introduced me to the PS2 and also worked in marketing around its games releases. He experienced these games at their peak, when the hype was highest and the technology felt revolutionary. To revisit that moment, I had him return to play SSX Tricky in a junkyard in West London, and asked him some questions on what memories resurfaced and whether the game still lives up to how it felt at that time.
We used to do a lot of work for Sony PlayStation and IDOS, who were one of the big games developers. And every year I used to go out to LA for the E3 conference, which is where they used to show all the new games, and it was just incredible, it was just monstrous. Well, my agency, Arat, we used to do a lot of the digital press kits, so we'd take all the screenshots of the computer games, put them on CDs at those days, because the internet hadn't really arrived. So we'd go through all the games, create screenshots, do demo videos, promos. And I personally used to do all the presentation graphics for the European chairman of PlayStation. I remember EA Sports announcing the games that were coming the next year, and they showed a thing called SSX Tricky, and I knew SSX as a snowboarding game, which I dabbled with a bit, but was so excited because it had such attitude. Came out the next year, and I bought it and played it to death. I literally used to come home from lunch sometimes and sit there and play it. I worked my way through all the levels. We really put a lot of effort and work into those games. They were just so realistic for the time. They were just amazing. It gave me that chance to just feel that vibe, you know, during a busy working day or at the end of a working day. I just loved it, and it really was a really good simulation as far as I'm concerned. To play it again now, I mean, there are so many different maps in there, but they all feel so familiar. And I'm really sure I've had dreams over the years as if I'm back in PlayStation and SSX Tricky Land. Yeah, it just feels so familiar. It stays with you. It really does.